Let's talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Perk, a.k.a. KD, apparently. The Thunder season, it started out in dominant fashion, right? Winning 24 of the first 25 games. That led us all to be sitting up here talking about if they could eclipse the Golden State Warriors record, right? They've cooled off since. They've dropped 11 games. They're slowing down to a much more mortal 63-win pace. And now the Thunder, they're going to be without the reigning MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, through the All-Star break. He's out with an abdominal injury here. Wendy, do we know exactly the timeline for him yet?
They haven't announced the timeline, but obviously he's probably going to miss the All-Star game, and it's compounded by the fact that they've got several other injured guards. And in my view, while this 16-11 stretch obviously is concerning, they've taken some losses. Taken some losses to some teams who think that they can beat them in the playoffs. Minnesota's beaten them a couple times. Spurs have beaten them 4 times. And I don't think Denver ever thought they couldn't beat them. They took them to 7 last year. It's diminished sort of the fear factor in the league, but if we're up to me, I would say they're still the favorite because their slowdown has been related to injuries.
But they've also lost to, at home, Charlotte, Toronto, and Indiana. To mention those teams. And one thing I would say is we won the championship in 2023. And that following year, now you've gone from being a team that was hunting and fighting for a championship. You're getting everybody's best every single night, and you're seeing that as late. You know, they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. And I'd ask you the same question, Perk. You won a championship in Boston. What was that following year like as you as players knew that every single night you were getting, even the teams that maybe in the records and the standings weren't great, you're getting their best effort?
Well, you had to strap your boots up and get ready and get ready to get your feet high because you're the measuring stick. Everybody wants to be what you are, and everybody wants to get what you have. And so when you think about the Thunder, right, we know they have SGA, J-Dub showed up, Chet, all that. We know they have a deep roster, but the one thing that got them the championship is their physicality. And now that's the recipe. So we're seeing young teams like Minnesota, like the Spurs, a la Detroit Pistons, pulling them on them. And they think that they have found the recipe.
But you know how hard it is to try to go back-to-back, Perk. After you won the title with the Celtics, you all started out 27-2 that next year. So you were hot out the gate. And you said that you believed that you could have done it again.
Yeah, I did. But look, in order to go back-to-back, we haven't had a back-to-back champion in the last 7 years.
Yeah, since the Warriors.
In order to do that, you got to have some luck. And what luck means being healthy, right? That's a concerning part for us with the Thunder, being healthy. I don't think they should be considered the title favorites right now.
See, I think that's a mistake. None of these injuries are season-ending injuries.
See, that is a back-to-back outfit right there. For sure.
I got the same jacket.
The Rockets can look at you and say, you're worried about these injuries? We got 2 starters, Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams, are done for the year at knee surgery. The Thunder players are all expected back. That's something that should be positive.
Here's one thing from a basketball standpoint. Injuries, we all know that happens. OKC has the #1 defense in the NBA. They helped them win a championship last year. A lot of that has to do with them turning teams over and getting points off of that. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're not turning teams over. They're not getting offense off their defense. That's one of the big reasons that San Antonio has beaten them 4 times this year, because they don't turn the ball over. So that's a recipe. If you're going to find a way, be physical like you talked about, but take care of the rock, don't fuel their break, and make that team play in the half court.
And Wendy, I would be careful. Because those soft tissue injuries, the hamstring injury with J-Dub, we see what Eric Gordon is going through. He's battling the same injury that he battled last postseason, right? And SGA is out with an abdominal strain. Now, y'all may not believe this, but at one point in my life, I actually had abs. You know what I mean? I actually had abs, and I had a.
He had a 2-pack.
Yeah, I could never really get the bottom part to get where it needs to go, but that's okay. But I went through that, and I'm telling you, it takes longer than just when you get back to recover from that. So again, I'm just looking at the physicality from everybody else and the confidence.
Right.
If you saw those clips of what Minnesota did to them last game and how Wemby feel like he owns them right now in the San Antonio Spurs, I just don't have.
You want to sell your Thunder stock?
I'm not selling nothing. No, Sam Presti, I love you.
Jacket on
Sam Presti, everybody, Wilson over there, Matt, I love you guys. I got to do my job.
Well, we still see, though, OKC has a 4.5-game lead in the standings in the Western Conference. The Rockets, though, they're in 4th place in the conference. They've dropped their last 2 games. They're trying to climb a little bit here before the All-Star break. But Houston, despite being top 5 in both offense and defense, they got a little bit of a problem. So it's time to keep it real. Perk, Coach, you guys have been crunching the film. You've been crunching the numbers. What is it that you see?
Well, Houston, we do have a problem. And as you mentioned, they are 5th in offense on the season. But lately, Malika, since January 1st, you can see their offense has taken a sharp nosedive.
Yeah.
I remember that from high school. That's one of the classes I went to. So the offense is really having a hard time producing. The defenses remain consistent. But let's look at 2 examples that can kind of highlight why they're having these struggles. Right here you see. They have Ryan Kalkbrenner guarding Amen Thompson, I apologize. He's in the paint. They're not guarding him. He goes to try to make a play to the rim. You're going to watch Grant Williams step in, take the charge, and all the way up the floor, they're denying Kevin Durant. Great player. Another example against Boston. He catches the ball at the nail, and I just want you to watch this. As he goes into his move, here comes Keita, double teaming off the strong side corner. Their whole mindset is we're not letting Kevin Durant, number 6 all-time scorer, beat us. We're going to show him a crowd and force somebody else to have to step up and make a play. And you can look at the numbers once again. Before January 1st, offensive firepower. Since January 1st, offense has been hard to come by in Houston.
But it's not just offense, right? Defensively, they have a problem. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what Ime Udoka had to say.
It looks like teams are starting to try to hunt Alpi on defense and put him in those pick and roll situations.
It's been the case since I've been here, so no different there.
And look, when the coach gets to that point where they call you out publicly, that means he has had multiple or several conversations behind closed doors with Alfred Sengun privately. No Steven Adams. He's going to have to elevate his game defensively and become that defensive anchor. Here's a few clips right here. When you look at this, I want you to locate. Coach, you know this. Early, loud, and continuous. He's supposed to be in the ice position right here and alert Amon Thompson to be able to ice it down. But instead, rejects the screen, and all of a sudden they're in the scramble. Watch to the end. Look at this. No effort whatsoever to get to the corner to even try to contest the shot. Now watch Amon Thompson. He's literally pointing at his ear saying, where's the screen coming? Now look at his stance. It's wide open. As an offensive player, I'm getting downhill. Your objective is supposed to be butt to the baseline. I'm stopping the pick and roll. I'm stopping the ball in front of me. And this is the problem with Houston. Look, y'all didn't want to trade for Giannis. Feel sorry for your loss. But in order for y'all to get to where y'all trying to go and maximize one of the greatest to ever do it in Kevin Durant and the rest of his career, Alfred Sengun is going to have to be that anchor defensively, and he's going to have to do it at a high level, especially in the Western Conference.
Right, and you have to wonder if other teams are trying to maybe pick on
these numbers.
Pick on Alperen Sengun a little bit. But you referenced it, Perk. Houston did not make any trades here at the deadline. They're one of just 3 teams that decided to stand pat. The Spurs, okay, they're sitting at the top of the conference and they're ahead of schedule. The Miami Heat, maybe they have something else up their sleeve for later. And this is notable because there was a record 73 players who were moved here at the deadline. So Houston, why, Brian, did they not make a move?
Yeah, Rafael Stone, their general manager, basically explained that they were a little bit handcuffed. They've only got about $1 million in space under the first apron, so they couldn't really take on more salary. And frankly, they seem to like this team. They think that their standings are pretty high. They think that the team will recover. But frankly, they just, you look at the way they play. Amon Thompson, he averaged shot distance this year is 8 feet from the basket. Fred VanVleet, who was their star point guard before he tore his ACL right before training camp, his average shot distance last year was 20 feet. So right there, you see how teams are playing them differently. And the injury happened at a terrible time. It happened right before training camp. All the offseason moves were already done. And Rafael Stone explained it by saying, maybe this just isn't our year, which really caused my jaw to drop a little bit because usually you want your front office to keep working on it, but they seem to believe that this group can recover and start getting their offensive mojo.
Well, let me say this. One, I don't want to hear the word like. I want to hear the word love from Rafael Stone. I want to hear him say he loved this team. That means he has confidence in this team, right? And so when you think about the Western Conference, we just talked about OKC, it's wide open. It's wide open, in my opinion. Denver, they're dealing with injuries, right? Jokic doesn't look 100%. Peyton Watson, Aaron Gordon is out. We just talked about the Thunder, those guys being out. You go out and you be aggressive. And even if you don't go out and get Giannis and you're banking on Fred VanVleet to come back, he's still coming back off an ACL injury at the most crucial point.
You can't bank on him. I mean, if he can come back at all, it's amazing.
But I'm saying, I didn't see Tyus Jones get traded twice. right? When you talk about a guy that could go out there, coach, and facilitate the offense. And what did Afro Goon say the other day?
We need Fred VanVleet. That's the difference.
Well, they did not decide to stand pat, and now it's Houston
defense.
is going to have to play defense with the roster.
NBA